Is that just all talking to each other?
The loudest sounds that we're hearing now are the begging sounds from the babies. Basically they're asking for food. And as you can see with this one that we're following here, the baby is clearly right behind this animal, basically asking for handouts. Basically, feed me, feed me, feed me.
Yeah.
We found that the loudest babies tend to get fed the most often. So there's a food item. The baby's got it.
So they dig it up, the baby actually eats it themselves.
That's right. Later the baby will start to interrupt the digs. It's eating some ant eggs. There we go, and the ants are starting to bite it. Oh. So it's like pulling its, there we go.
That's why it's doing Oh, God.
So it's still learning. The older animal has just got a few ant eggs and is moving on.
But I suppose also that the baby's skin is probably a little softer.
Yes, and also most likely and majorly they have, most importantly they don't have those long guard hairs I've been referring to.
Yeah.
So they're very vulnerable to ant attack.
Yeah.
Carabid beetles spray acid and the meerkats drag them along the ground. So that's another kind of defense mechanism they use. And millipedes have a chemical defense, so meerkats drag those along the ground too. Alright, but not too much time passes and then the baby starts moving on with the older animal again.
Yeah.
They do not just follow specific animals, they could go up to anyone. In fact, if a baby stops begging, one that's next to it who finds food might take the food 50 plus meters away to someone else who's begging loudly. But if we just have a listen again, it's unbelievably noisy.
Yeah.
But if the baby gets too close to another baby, as we heard earlier, they growl. Each generation is looking for their own food. It's only the babies who get provisioned. But babies will attack other babies who get close to them again. So what I'd like to really emphasize here with the sounds that we're hearing from them is that these are not stealth animals again. So what I say to landowners who think meerkats are eating their chickens or ostrich chicks or geese, there's absolutely no ways these animals could get anywhere near these using stealth. They're way too noisy.
Yeah. And again, there's one. Is there just always one guarding, or there always?
There is usually at least one animal up on guard in the distance there.
They'll take it in
But
turns.
one's over here again, not specifically turns. It's not like, okay, you do it now, I'll do it now.
Right.
Whoever's well fed at the time will just stay up on guard for longer. But they will communicate this every now and again with sounds, little peeping sounds, similar to the ones we heard when they were sunning their bellies this morning. Alright, this is a different baby who's now come up,
Yeah.
begging for food.
Yeah.
The point I was making about the sounds is unless a chicken or ostrich chick is deaf, there's absolutely no ways they'll allow this noisy animal near it. And the landowners can clearly see this when they come out and visit here.
But they're too small, they're not going to be able to catch and tear apart. Their mouths aren't big enough.
Unfortunately, there's a great deal of confusion between the meerkat and its closest living relative, the mongooses.
Right, yeah.
And it's the most unfortunate plural, as I always like to mention. There are no mongoose or mongai, you get mongooses, that's the plural. 37 species the last I checked, if you include the meerkat. There are many anatomical and behavioral differences. I already mentioned earlier, meerkats don't have a midden or latrine, mongooses do. So they don't use a communal toilet like mongooses. They don't have carnassial or cutting teeth like mongooses. They have a completely different diet, they look different, but in zoos they're often given a mongoose diet. People see them eating mints and fruits, etc., and then think meerkats are eating plants and that they're eating meat, etc. in the wild, and this is not the case. Meerkats are mainly eating the insect-like food. As you can see, it's something that they can eat quickly and then they move along. They don't spend a long time in one area.
That little one's not
And they're very, very noisy.
This little baby here's not getting
But even now, they are not very far apart. So the sounds actually keep them together and apart to avoid aggression. When they get louder and louder, it's because they're getting closer and closer together. I like to say it's basically, this is my food, this is mine, get your own. You're getting too close, so they warn one another. If we just follow these ones for a bit longer, we'll probably find before much longer they'll come across another baby, and then there'll be a little confrontation. It's about to happen. They're warning each other, calling more loudly. And clearly that baby is now following someone else. So this swap over happens a lot. There we go. Yes, did you hear that growling? And one chased the other one. Exactly, that's what happens. So this is my food, this is the one that's feeding me, find your own.